Watching the Mandela catalog made me feel like I was watching something I wasn't supposed to see. It's a PSA from the Mandela Police Department to warn the public about the presence of alternates, a human-like figure that looks identical to you. They come in different forms. One form is a doppelganger, another is a faceless figure with big lifeless eyes, whose only desire is to get rid of all humanity by stealing our identity and psychologically torturing humans to the point of ending their own lives. The PSA gives you steps to follow if you ever encounter an alternate. Stay home, lock your doors and windows, and make sure you have something to defend yourself. If you see an alternate, run away and hide. Never communicate with them because they will use psychological warfare to break you and replace you. Unfortunately for Mark Heathcliff and Cesar Torres, none of these guidelines worked. Mark and Cesar were friends who heard the broadcast put out by the Mandela Police Department warning the public about alternates. When Mark received a call from Cesar asking him to come over and turn on his security cameras, Mark was hesitant. He heard the broadcast and knew alternates were out there, but according to Cesar, all his windows and doors were locked, and he just needed someone to turn on the cameras so he could take his mom to the hospital after she was mysteriously knocked unconscious. Mark had no idea that the person he was speaking to was an alternate, so he headed to Cesar's, turned on the cameras, and that's when he found out the truth. An alternate had followed Cesar's mom home, attacked the family, and stole Cesar's identity. Now it was after Mark. He ran into a room and hid out for days, while the alternate waited on the other side of the door and used Cesar's voice to try and coax Mark out of hiding. Eventually, Mark opened the door and tried to defend himself, but the alternate was too quick and attacked Mark. But this wasn't Mark's first time encountering an alternate. When he was 4, Mark saw an alternate hiding in a dark corner of his home in the middle of the night. At the time, he believed it to be an intruder, but now we know the truth. Understanding what had happened, the Mandela authorities have created a module to help parents test their children about alternate encounters. Using this module, residents of Mandela County are urged to refer to the think principle when faced with an alternate. Tell an authority figure, hinder the alternate's movements, identify what kind of alternate it is, neutralize the alternate, and, oh wait, that can't be right. Wait, that's better. And lastly, know your place in reality. If you call for help, you won't receive any. Authorities are told not to help anyone who encounters an alternate. They shouldn't speak too much, or else they'll show fear. This film was creepy, and I see how it can represent fear of the unknown, fear of becoming someone you don't want to be. It's like it represents the fear of becoming your shadow self, fear of making decisions that will lead you down a darker path, because that's what an alternate is after all. It's your evil twin, your shadow self, the version of you that only wants to do harm. Because just like Mark, the fear of escaping that doppelganger only to be forced to face that shadow again later on in life is absolutely terrifying. And if you're not prepared, you might just pay with your life.
You have tremendous power in your mind. We don't think about it anymore. That's why this is one of the abilities that have to be brought back to our time. We can have complete control over our bodies. We can heal our bodies. We can do anything once we understand the power we have. We've just let it lie dormant for too many thousands of years. It's time to reclaim it now.
Real boy, Papa. You will one day, my little wooden boy. One day. I cannot wait any longer, Papa. I must become flesh and bone.
Dear God, Pinocchio, what are you doing?
I must consume your soul to become a real boy.
Dear God, where's that fairy? Fairy, take away this puppet boy's life. He's evil. He's nothing but pure evil. Jesus Christ, Lord have mercy on my soul. Please save me. Good Lord, where's a box of matches when I need it? Set this demon ablaze, please.
The first thing you tell him is never plead guilty. Never plead guilty. Every man's entitled to a trial. He's presumed to be innocent until the contrary is proved to a moral certainty beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's his right under the law, and he ought to avail himself of that right. So never plead guilty. Let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. What is your name? What is your name? I refuse to answer. No. My name is Johnny Carson. How do you know that to be your name? Well, it's on a birth certificate, legally recorded. That's hearsay. That's hearsay? Of course. I mean, if it's legally recorded? That's still hearsay. Suppose you were born, and I must assume that you were born because you're here tonight with us. There's a certificate made out not by you, a certificate made out by somebody else. That a boy child was born to Mr. and Mrs. Carson, and that he was named Johnny. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that you know that to be the fact. That means you have read that to be the fact. Yeah, I see what you mean. In other words, I only have to go by what is recorded. You're pleading guilty to something that you don't know of your own knowledge. In other words, I should have said, if somebody asked me who I am, I say I plead not guilty. Right? It doesn't go quite that far. Plead not guilty. I see what you mean. That is hearsay. I'm only accepting what somebody has said.
Somebody else has said.
But that would be legal. I mean, if you come in with a birth certificate that proves you're born.
Well, birth certificates are legal until they're attacked and proved to be invalid. That has happened too.
Who taught you how to breathe oxygen? I always knew. What are you saying? When you were born, did someone teach you how to breathe? Or did you just automatically assume that you have to breathe for the rest of your life? What? I mean, I can choose not to breathe and live the rest of my life because I'm independent. Why should I be dependent on oxygen when I can be just dependent on myself? If you were a crab and you saw a fish swimming in the water, wouldn't you think that the fish is flying? Once we have self-driving cars, windshield cleaners will no longer be essential. Because a self-driving car does not need its windshield to be clean. Only humans need the windshield to be clean. Isn't that concerning? If a fly loses its wings, is it now called a walk? Isn't that concerning? If air is transparent, then why is the sky blue? Isn't that concerning? If one day has 24 hours, then how many hours does a night have? Isn't that concerning? Why is the word be spelled B and not B? If you think about it, both the letters after B are silent. So why not just spell it B? Isn't that concerning? We're the only species on this planet that has to pay to live. Cats don't pay to eat food. You don't ask a goat to pay rent at the end of the month for the piece of land that it lives on. We could have literally spent the rest of our lives living for free, but we choose to pay instead. Why? Why are we separated by countries? What's the need of borders between two pieces of land? We're literally the same things. Why are we protecting ourselves from each other? Why do people say I'm from America? Why can't they say I'm from Earth? Isn't that concerning? Why is the word why spelled Y and not Y? If you think about it, both the letters before Y are silent. So why not just spell it Y? Isn't that concerning? Which of the following is 2024? Option A, 2024. Option B, 2024. Option C, 2024. Or option D, 2024. When fish get thirsty, do they drink the water or breathe the water in through their gills? Isn't that concerning? Why is it that when you catch a fish, it's called fishing, but when you catch a fly, it's not called flying? Isn't that concerning? Who was the first teacher who taught the teacher that teaches in schools? Who taught the teachers on how to teach? Isn't that concerning? If vegetarians eat vegetables, then what do humanitarians eat?
If we call it a building when it's already built, then why don't we just call it built?
Isn't that concerning? How do you know you're alive?
Because I'm living.
When you were born, did someone come and tell you that you're living and you're alive? Or did you just assume that you were alive this whole time?
What?
For all we know, this entire time, we could just be dead. And just because someone told us that we're alive, we assumed that we're alive. I like being independent. But what if I wanted to be dead this entire time? Did you know that the word wrong is spelled wrong in the dictionary? Why would they spell it wrong in the dictionary? Because the correct spelling of the word wrong is wrong. And the wrong spelling of the spelling wrong wouldn't be wrong. That's why it is spelled wrong in the dictionary. Why do people call water water? What do you mean? What if I wanted to call it? Our entire lives we've been told water is water. But I want to be independent. I want to be able to choose what I call water. Every time I drink something, I want to say, can I have some? Could I have some? Why do we pay for land when it already exists on the planet for free? It's already there. Why are we paying people for this piece of land that's on the planet? Like, I can just walk up to it and be like, this is mine. Why am I paying someone to build on it? Isn't that concerning? What is the color of a mirror? What color do they use when they are painting a mirror? Isn't that concerning? If water is transparent, then why are the oceans blue? If you take an empty cup and dip it in the ocean, what color is the ocean water? Transparent. There's no color. Isn't that concerning? Did you know that if you spell the word race car backwards, it's spelled race car? You could literally spell the word race car the way you spell it, or you could reverse it and it would still spell the same word. Isn't that concerning? If you're hungry, you can literally go outside, plant a tree, and eat the apple. And if you're thirsty, 75% of the planet is made up of water. You can literally take a glass, dip it in the ocean, and drink it. Now you might be concerned, oh, what if the ocean water is salty? The body needs salt to survive. Isn't that concerning? When someone is studying atoms, it's just a bunch of atoms studying other atoms. Because technically speaking, we're all made up of atoms. Isn't that concerning? If a witch lives on sand, does that make her a sandwich? Isn't that concerning? When you clean a vacuum cleaner, does that make you the vacuum cleaner? Isn't that concerning? Where did bedbugs live before beds were invented? What if we could breathe in space, but the government just keeps telling us that we can't, so we don't escape from Earth? Have you tried breathing in space? Isn't that concerning?
I've heard there are 5 types of humans. Is that true?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I just heard that.
I don't know what that
kinds of humans, humans that are perhaps more evolved. I know that's maybe not the right word, but some sort of maybe more ancient souls, or souls that have had more incarnations and more lessons. And
that's usually what the term old soul means. It's just a soul that's had more experience in a particular kind of reality than another soul. Because ultimately all souls are ageless, timeless, the same age, if you want to say that, because we all exist simultaneously. We've existed forever. Remember, time and space are subject to existence. Existence is not subject to time and space. So what exists, and this is again a linear way of saying it, has always existed and always will. Existence only has that quality. It exists. No beginning, no ending. So within that, you can experience beginnings and endings, and more experience in one way and less experience in another way. So the 5 types of humans, yes, I guess people can categorize the level at which somebody may be existing in terms of, this is a slightly altered subject, in terms of Bashar's perspective being a hybrid being. He said there are 5 types of hybrids, and that the human species is evolving to become what he calls the 6th hybrid race. Now, that's a little bit of a different story from what you probably mentioned.
Okay, can you explain that? What is that?
Yeah. Oh boy. Okay.
Well, this leads me into thoughts about AI and questions about what that is, and so I don't think this is a bad rabbit hole to go down.
No, but it's definitely a rabbit hole, and it's definitely a story. Okay. You are somewhat probably familiar with the high ideas of alien abductions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the so-called typical being that's usually involved in that is referred to as a gray.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they have been apparently, according to all of the research, creating hybrid beings between themselves and Earth humans.
Okay.
Okay. Is that news
Yeah,
for you?
new. That's new.
It's not news for the abductees.
Huh.
They're often shown the hybrid babies that are created with their DNA, mixing it with the grays,
Okay.
and are told to relate to those babies. The one thing that's very different about the way Bashar tells the story is that the grays, from his perspective, are not truly alien. They're mutated humans from a parallel Earth that destroyed itself.
Okay.
And they lost their ability to reproduce. They mutated into the form we now see them to survive. But in order for their race not to die out, they have used their advanced technology to shift into parallel realities like ours, where humans are still viable, where they have taken DNA to create hybrid beings that will continue their civilization. And that, according to Bashar, is what the hybrid agenda is all about. He and his civilization are one of those hybrid civilizations that was created by the Greys. They are helping us because they consider us family, because we're genetically related. They also see that we're making decisions on this earth that are taking us down the same negative path of destruction that happened to the Greys on their earth. And so they're trying to give us information to prevent that from happening. So not only are the hybrids the continuation of the Greys civilization, the hybrids may also be helping us make sure that we continue our civilization and don't go down the path that the Greys went down, where they had to lose their ability for emotion, lose their ability to reproduce, and had to go to parallel realities to get DNA to continue their civilization. That, in a nutshell, is the story that Bashar tells about them and what the hybrid civilization, what the hybrid agenda is all about. So ultimately, the hybrid children, supposedly, that have been created will ultimately come to live on Earth with us in the future. And as we develop relationships with them, as we mingle with them, this helps the humans evolve into higher level humans to become what he calls the sixth hybrid race.
We're not a hybrid yet?
We're hybridized already, and that's another story. But he's saying this is part of our evolution to become, because from his perspective, there are already 5 hybrid races. We would be the 6th. So because of the mingling with the hybrid children eventually in the future. Yes, he's saying humans are already hybridized because Homo sapiens, he says, is already a hybridized being. Again, the story is of an ancient race called the Anu or Anunnaki. Came here a long time ago, took the indigenously evolved species, Homo erectus or something along that line, added their genetics to us or to them, and created Homo sapiens. So yes, humans are already hybridized, already contain many different ET genetics that come out in different environments, which is why we have what appear to be separate races on the earth and separate abilities. But he's saying the more we blend, the more we mix, the more the ancient markers, genetic markers, open up, and the more our senses get extended, the more we start exploring the idea of consciousness, the more evolved we become, because we're going back to the idea of activating all of our DNA instead of markers that have somehow been dormant for quite a long time. And then combine that with the idea of the hybrid children is what's propelling us forward into a new evolution to become the 6th hybrid race.
So are the hybrid children a positive, or is this an infiltration that will be negative, that won't have reproduction and emotions and the things that the Greys had to?
The hybrids have emotions. That's the whole thing, is they are a more advanced type of human. So they will be theoretically a great benefit if people are not afraid of them, if people can accept them. So, I understand it's a complicated story, especially for us on Earth who haven't been taught that any of these things are going on, because as you alluded to earlier, we're only just beginning to acknowledge that there are other beings. The government has only recently talked about the idea that some UFOs really are things we know nothing about. So these are slow admissions of the existence of other beings in our reality. And it's just the very, very early stages of the beginning of accepting that we're not alone, and that there's a lot going on out there, and that we're part of a bigger galactic family than we imagine.
What is the reason that it has been so hidden by our government or the powers to be, whoever they may be, if they are not so obvious, that's been hidden so long?
Fear, mostly. And the idea of our power structure, because we do have, I believe, crashed craft. We are trying to reverse engineer them. It's all about one-upmanship. We want to have it. We don't want you to have it.
Right.
Power struggle.
We want the money from this tech first.
And all that. So, it's the fear of the unknown, the fear of the other, the fear of the alien force, the foreigner, and the fear that someone's going to outstrip us, the fear that someone's going to control us. It's all about negative and fear-based belief systems instead of opening up to the fact that it could be quite positive.
I don't know if y'all notice or not, but things is about to change out here. You can feel it. America has become satanic, bro, and it's just starting. You can see, man, they're trying to remove God out of everything, bro. We already know how that's gonna go. And the crazy part is, the only ones that's gonna catch by surprise is the ones that ain't paying attention. The ones that's too busy laughing at everybody else like us to actually do research and study. Meanwhile, they sitting there doing what they want. They come on our post trying to argue when they ain't never looked nothing up for themselves. Anybody that know what the tribulation is, if you can't see that we going into that right now, something is wrong with you. You already got a man in Israel named Yanuka, right? That memorized the whole Jewish book tour and everything by heart, you heard, which is not humanly possible. 33 years old, claiming that he's the light of the Jews. They over there almost worshiping this man, right? And nobody knows about him for some reason. As if he's trying to keep himself under the radar like Jesus was doing. He came out of nowhere. They say he over there healing people, right? And doing all these miracles, making things appear out of the fire and all type of stuff. Even the rabbi Jewish leaders worship this man, kissing him, everything. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, everywhere around us is crashing. All these countries is claiming to go to war. All this disaster going around the world is chaos. The same way the Bible said it will be when the Antichrist comes on the scene and promises peace on earth. At the same time, Israel was already claiming to be in connection with their Messiah, who the real Christians know is the false Messiah, you heard? At the same time, Israel is trying to ban Christianity. At the same time, they call them a one-world religion. At the same exact time that the dollar is failing, bro, they're trying to get rid of money. At the same time, you hear all this talking about implanting chips in people, you heard? At the same time, it's famines and plagues. At the same time, there's wars and rumors of wars, people killing each other. Nobody's the same anymore. I feel like everything changed in the air with time. Everything has changed and it ain't going back to normal. It's been getting worse ever since. All these natural disasters, they said it was hailing in Texas, or we're supposed to hail in Texas, bro. Look at what's going on. A lot of y'all is too busy partying and focusing on the wrong stuff, boy. You better get it in order, you heard? Cause life is not no game, bro. We is literally in the last days, and everybody be laughing, thinking it's funny. Y'all are the most ignorant people I ever seen in my life. Ain't never did no research on nothing that's going on, but I come under people's posts laughing, trying to have y'all little opinion on something that y'all don't even know what y'all talking about. Speaking on a Bible that you never read before. Boy, if y'all knew how close you was to seeing Jesus Christ face to face, y'all wouldn't even be playing. Or if y'all picked up a Bible and started praying and doing what y'all supposed to do so he could reveal himself to you, you wouldn't find nothing funny no more. Or if y'all did y'all research about everything that's going on around the world at just one time, you wouldn't be saying the stuff that y'all saying. And if you can't see it, it's because you spiritually blind. You got a veil over your eyes, boy. You better pray to God he open them. Because time is getting short, bro. We is here, you heard? Like, and it's crazy because I never thought I'd be the one saying it. That's the crazy part. Like, I'm used to hearing older people say it. Man, it's the young people saying it. That's the difference. Don't be the one that get left and start regretting it in the end. That's all I'm gonna say, because life is more real than what you think, you heard? So you better get right with God. Jesus Christ, matter of fact.
When you die, if you get cremated, your family could put your ashes in an hourglass and you could still participate in family game night.
Ну что ты, шкрёбушка, 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 шкрёбушка.
Садись, сядь. Вот. Поза номер 5. Держи. Вот так. Можно сесть как на паспорт, вот так вот посидеть, посмотреть. Ну, а можно там развалиться на медведя. Шикарная поза. Ну, пока хватит. Урок номер 1 закончится. Отдай. Все, иди гуляй.
These Sloppy Joe pockets put a new spin on an old classic. Let me show you how I made them. Quick story time before I get started. Growing up, we never called them Sloppy Joes, and I never had manwich. We called them barbecues, and my mom always made them, and this is exactly how she made them. Ground beef, chopped onions, some P&S, and a spoonful of garlic. Break that down, mix it all together, and let it cook. You can use the old tip the pan paper towel trick to get the grease out of there, and now we make our barbecues. I'm going in with a big old squeeze of ketchup, about a half a cup's worth, and then we're going in with about a quarter cup of yellow mustard. Last ingredient, this is a must for me, some brown sugar. That sweetness takes me back to summers, sitting at the picnic table, kicking my bare feet, eating some barbecues with some sour cream and onion chips. Now we're going to take that barbecue filling and put it into those cool little pockets you saw in the beginning of the video. I'm using 2 sheets of pizza dough. I put down 8 scoops of that barbecue mixture, and then a couple squares of some Kraft singles, the melty chaz. Channel your inner Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris, whatever team you're on, chop away, roll it with the pizza cutter, and you have your little 8 pockets. We're going to brush them on with a little garlic and herb butter and into the oven, tree fitty, till they cribby. And boy, did they turn out cribby. Now, did this take a lot longer than putting it onto a bun with a piece of cheese? Absolutely, but it's fun, and that's the whole point. Think about it. Hand your kid a plate with a bun with some meat mixed with ketchup and mustard. They might not like it. If you give them one of these, they're probably going to dig right in. It's fun. It's exciting. It's something new. You should definitely give it a try.
Hey everyone, this is Steve with Frequency Wave, and I'm here in the shop, and I'm doing some experiments with some different frequencies and what I can do with the different frequencies. So if I hit play, I can make the magnet start to jump depending on the frequency. I can turn the frequency up, and I can make the magnet walk, and then I can see how it's walking, and then I can turn it, and I can actually make it jump, and then I can make it stand up again and walk, and as I increase it, I can make it walk faster, and walk to the middle, and then I'll make it jump again. Just by decreasing, I can make it move around, and then I'll make it jump. And then I can actually make it jump all the way out. It's pretty incredible. These devices have so much versatility. So if you want to learn more about frequencies, contact Steve. You can DM me, or you can visit their website, frequencywave.com.
The question is, what are 3 things that you think an individual should do every day to ultimately become a good contributing member of society?
I think, first of all, you need to take control of your own health. And by doing that, I think you need to take control of your diet. You need to take control of your exercise routine, and not just your health physically, but your health mentally. What do you consume? In terms of, like, what are you getting from social media to what books are you reading? What are you consuming? Health. That's number one. I think everyone needs discipline. You need voluntary adversity, things that you force yourself to do to make yourself stronger. Whether it is cold plunging, sauna, yoga, exercise routines, difficult things to do. And three, you need a passion. You need a thing that you do that you love. When you find a thing that you do that you love and you get better at it, I think those things become a vehicle for developing your human potential, and I think it makes you a better person overall. Those three things, I think if everyone could just apply those three things, you will be a better person, you'll be a better human being, you'll be a better American.
No one can seem to agree on anything anymore except for two things. Pizza and us. And us.
We walked in, I was like, oh. And there was, an array of people in the living room, and I went back to find Prince, and he was back there holding court with Tavis Smiley and Cornel West, and he looked up and was like smiled and gave me the peace sign, and I went back in, and we had pasta and pizza at 4 o'clock in the morning.
How did Prince like his pizza? This is very important. The toppings is a window into one's soul.
First off, there was no meat on the pizza, and I didn't see Prince eat any pizza. We would go to his house, man, for the house parties. I want to say Prince was a vegan, and so he had his chef prepare. You'll be at the house, and it'd be Stevie Wonder playing the piano, Malcolm Jamal Warner on bass, Rochelle Farrell singing lead, Harry Connick Jr. playing bongos. No, that was Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey. I'm sorry, I get him confused sometimes. But it was just amazing, man. And then it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. His chef is serving you breakfast. You're like, why am I at Prince's house at 5 o'clock in the morning, man? It was truly an amazing relationship that not only myself but other people had with him.
I'm just glad that it was pizza and pasta. It wasn't like a game of telephone, like Prince asked you to do something and it came back pizza and pasta through his assistant.
Anthony, Prince wants you to come back to the hotel and have pasta and pizza. That's how it came to me.
That is fantastic.
Had a lot of fun. When you handed out the pizza, I have to say, nobody knows this except me. And I'm a massive fan of his, and he knows that. So I think he'll be okay with me telling this story. But when you handed out the pizza, Harrison Ford grabbed a slice. He was very hungry. I saw him take a big bite. I looked over my shoulder, right down his throat. Yeah, true story. I took the pizza, and of course, what did I do? I handed it to my mom.
Oh,
but
very sweet.
She's too smart to eat pizza in a gown, so she was like, I'm gonna wait for a little bit.
No, Harrison told me actually at that he told me that he dropped it all
did
down.
he?
Yeah, he actually pointed it out. I didn't see it, but he said I dropped it all down my shirt.
All down his shirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
He went back and he tried to clean it up, and then I think I just saw him leave.
Yeah. No, I knew he'd have the munchies. I knew for sure Harrison was gonna. All right, I love you so very much. Where Clooney lives, George Clooney lives.
Yes.
And Jen and George are friends. So you went to George's house?
Yes, of course. And he was him and his wife and all these nice people were there, and they invited Jen and me. I know George back in the day too. So we went there, and you take a boat. You get on a boat. You cruise down. Went over to their house. They made us homemade pizza, and it was an amazing time. I sat next to Bono. It was a good day.
That is a good day.
It's funny. It's like my Jennifer, every time we're with Jennifer, something great happens because she's everybody loves Jennifer. And I tend to stay at home and do nothing. And my wife is so much going, why didn't I marry Aniston? Why am I stuck with you, man? Because I literally will, even in Italy, she's like, I'm telling you, we got to leave the room, man. I'm a little psychotic.
What do you mean you have to leave the room?
I don't know. I like hanging out with the kids. I like hanging out with the wife. I like playing basketball, and then I like going to sleep.
Yeah. But you just said you were sitting next to Bono and you had a good time.
I know, cause of Aniston, and it was a good time. Yeah. But I should do it more. And Aniston will say to me in the middle of the night, whenever I'm with her, something cool. She'll be like, "You see?" And I'll be like, "No, you're right. This is great. This is great." And then the next morning, she'll text me and say, "I know something, Wednesday night if you want." I'll be like, "Come on, we just did that Saturday thing. We don't have to do too much.
She likes to. She's busy all the time. I know she's the greatest host, but
She is a good host.
I'm going to bed at 9. I can't come over. Your thing starts at 8:30. So
yes, she can handle it. She can handle it. And her parties are incredible at her house too.
Yeah, she does have good parties, and she makes good pizza as well.
She makes great pizza.
Wonderful pizza. All right, just y'all are all like, whatever. That.
I was 16, so I spent a lot of time there.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool.
What's your favorite thing to eat in Chicago?
I didn't really... everyone said I should eat pizza. I was like, well, no, I don't want to. And
Why?
then, because I just didn't want to. I just didn't want to. Where did we go? We went True Kitchen.
Hold on a second.
I shouldn't promote things.
You can promote whatever you want, but I need to take a step back because you just said something crazy. What do you mean, why would you want to eat pizza? I don't know, why get up in the morning? Why look at the sun? Why enjoy a rainbow?
Because pizza is just an open sandwich.
Oh.
Am I getting food?
Look at this.
Come on, then. I don't care. I don't care. It's an open cooked sandwich.
All right, but it's a
and
great...
I go, whenever I have a pizza, I'm like, oh, cool, this is a cool open sandwich. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's just not like...
In Chicago,
I can open a sandwich at home and put it on the grill. And so when I'm paying for something, I'm going to go, I want to go somewhere where I can't do that. I can't make that.
President Trump, we need someone deported immediately. Yes. He's calling pizza an open sandwich. Yeah, okay. Guillermo, unlock the door, all right? All right, we'll see you soon. Well, that is a shocking and controversial statement that could potentially affect your visa.
Should it?
Yeah.
Should, isn't it? No, it's not like, I just wouldn't.
There's no getting out of this now.
There's not, is it?
Yeah, no, yeah.
I believe it, though, so it doesn't even matter. If I believe it's true, it's true.
You're about to get sent a hail of pizzas. They're going to be coming at you like frisbees.
Yeah,
well, it's great to have you here. Watch the movie's called Widows. It opens November 16th. Daniel Kaluuya, everybody.
I don't do mermaid voices.
I don't merman voices. Be specific. So these circles of friends that you guys have, you told a story about going and having pizza at the Clooney's in Lake Como.
Yeah, that's all an Aniston thing. She's like, George and I would love you to come over for pizza, but you have to dress right.
What did you put in his after lunch
You
coffee?
have to dress right, Adam.
Good
You can't
God.
show up in your shorts.
Don't embarrass me.
Don't exactly. I don't want to embarrass
Clooney
you.
would, by the way, Clooney wears shorts and he wears t-shirts just like the Sandman. They just have to lay on him a little better. That's the only difference.
How was the pizza? Was it good?
What
Did he make it
Amal's
himself?
pizza was better than Clooney's. They both made, everybody made a certain kind of pizza.
There's no pizza we didn't love.
Something that he doesn't
Five
do
different
better
kinds.
than
5
everybody
different
else.
kinds or 6 different kinds of pizza that night.
Let's be
Clooney's was
quiet.
excellent.
Shut your trap.
Amal's was the winner.
I will tell you though, I don't know what you guys talked about, but like Clooney is easy to talk to, right?
Yes.
Amal, on the other hand, I'm sure she's very easy to talk to.
So
She was
but
very
it feels very intimidating.
No.
She has real life stuff.
She sure does. She's brilliant. She's
But
unbelievable.
inclusive and you
Very
feel great.
inclusive.
You
Very
feel great.
inclusive.
I've seen a picture of the kids. The kids are.
We can't talk about only the Clooney family right now. Let's leave them alone.
Let's ask another question.
I heard of.
Think about this, that something with the capabilities of traveling light years, not showing a heat signature, and the energy capabilities of that would put the Pentagon out of business. We wouldn't be fighting these worthless wars overseas over oil, and American boys and girls wouldn't be dying. It would put the war pigs out of business, and they'd have to go somewhere else, and I'm all for that. I'm all for that. And I was told by leadership that it was blocked by the intelligence community. Not the intelligence committee, but the intelligence community, and that is a very chilling effect. If someone can reach through the veil of government and pierce it to the point of we do not have access to something, you got to start asking yourself who the hell's in control. And I think it'd be wise for you all to start looking at some financial disclosures of some of those corporations, some of the people who do the stonewalling in this town. And that's what we're going to start doing. We're going to start talking to people. We're going to start naming names. Yeah.
Representative Ogle said if we're denied, we're going to use the Holman rule. We'll defund the position.
What? See? No.
with you, bro. Mind your business. You mind your business? Excuse you? Can I help you?
Is this really how we want to be able to spend Americans' taxpayer dollars? We've set up a top 10 list that we listed out of some of the things that we just say, okay, of the 50 different examples, and we don't try to go into every single spending area, but we lay out in the guide for federal fumbles 50 different examples and just try to ask the question, is this the best way to be able to spend Americans' dollars? And again, we've all got different perspectives and different ideas on it. I'm just asking a question. For instance, last year the State Department did a grant to Ecuador to host 12 drag shows in Ecuador with American tax dollars. Now, may have different opinions in this room on drag shows. I'm just asking the simple question, is the best use of American tax dollars to actually fund drag shows in Ecuador with U.S. tax dollars? I don't believe that it is. Last year, we actually did a different funding through the State Department that was actually done. Actually, this is the National Science Foundation. Excuse me, strike that. It seems like a State Department thing. National Science Foundation last year did a study of butterflies in Europe. So we funded with American taxpayer dollars a butterfly study in Germany where we paid a Swedish scientist to study butterflies in Germany. I'm not real sure why American tax dollars, that was the best use of that, but that was one of the grants that was done last year. Last year, there was also a NEA grant that was done to set up a display in Brooklyn for the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which, by the way, is not even an American band, and I'm not sure why we had to pay federal tax dollars to be able to do that. My simple question is always, why are tax dollars being taken out of Oklahoma to be able to do that? Always popular, we had an almost, $350,000 grant to study smart toilets. Was one of the grants that we actually paid for with our federal tax dollars last year. We also had a grant that was done studying colonial Mexican soundscapes. Now, I'm sure colonial Mexican soundscapes are fascinating, but we paid for a researcher to travel to Mexico and then to be able to write a series about the sounds of colonial Mexico and how they could be used to be able to influence communities. We, last year, did a study on helmets and seatbelts in Ghana to be able to study whether seatbelts and helmets were effective for saving lives in Ghana. Can I just go ahead and answer that question for free? Seatbelts and helmets are a good idea. They save lives. Free. I can go ahead and give you that advice. How do I know that? Because we've already spent millions of dollars in other studies here in the United States, but instead we spent money in Ghana studying helmets to see if they're actually a good idea there. And amazingly, they discovered, yes, they are. There was also a grant that was done last year. I've got to just walk this one through. This was at the Springfield Museum of Art in Missouri. There was a grant to be on a display, an installation in the exhibit in the museum called Yoko Ono Mend Piece. Now let me just read this to you. It's a simple white room where shattered cups and saucers are placed on a table and participants are asked to mend the fragments together using common household items like twine, glue, scissors, and tape, and the resulting works are displayed on nearby shelves as evidence of the power of collective action. Again, I'm not opposed to fixing broken saucers in a public place and displaying them. All I'm asking is, why did Oklahomans work overtime last year to pay their tax bill to fund doing the Yoko Ono White Room where people fixed broken saucers? I don't have a good answer for that yet, by the way. I'm still trying to be able to get that. If you like wine country, great, you help pay for it. One of the highest income areas in the world is Napa Valley, California. One of the highest income areas in the entire world. The good folks of Oklahoma helped pay for a wine pedestrian trail through Napa Valley because apparently Napa Valley didn't have enough cash to be able to pay for the 8-mile walking trail through wine country, some of the most expensive real estate in the entire world. So the taxpayers in Oklahoma had to pay for that wine country tour trail. If you like traveling to Hawaii, enjoy the trip. When you get there, if you go to a farmer's market, you'll find out that you help pay for that farmer's market because the farmer's market in Hawaii received $3.4 million to be able to fund the farmer's market. If you go to New York City and pay a very high dollar ticket to get into a private location in the Metropolitan Opera to be able to watch the opera, you will feel safer, I'm sure, when you go to the Metropolitan Opera because almost $750,000 was given to the Metropolitan Opera in New York to help them install a new fire suppression system with federal tax dollars. If you like traveling to Paris and you go to a butcher shop in Paris, you may be fascinated to know, since the 13th century, apparently butchers in Paris have come up with their own private language. It's like a super secret private language among butchers in Paris. Fascinating for the French to study, but unfortunately, the American taxpayers paid for a study of French butchers' private language for fear that it is diminishing and fading away. So the American tax dollars paid for this study in France to study the secret language of butchers in Paris. Can't tell you why. You may know the story of let me see if I can pull this out, the parable of the sower. It's a very famous biblical story, the parable of the sower. Well, this particular version of the parable of the sower was actually a little bit different. What your tax dollars paid for is actually an event that was done to teach climate futurism and to be able to use the parable of the sower from the Bible, but to reteach a new religion called Earth Seed, using the biblical story of the parable of the sower and talking about humanity's destiny to be able to leave Earth for other planets. It wasn't the writing of the book. It was a conference for teachers to make sure teachers know how to be able to teach this new version of the parable of the sower and about the religion of Earth Seed to their kids. That was done with your tax dollars. Not leaving Ghana alone, there was also a study done in Ghana last year. Not only did we do one on seatbelt studies and helmet studies in Ghana, we also did an interview project that was almost $200,000 in Ghana to interview taxi cab drivers and truck drivers to ask them about how difficult driving has become with climate change. If it's harder to drive now in Ghana based on climate change, your tax dollars paid for that. And if you don't like that I'm discussing anything on climate change, and you may disagree with that. Well, perfect, because there was also a fund that was done with your tax dollars and the National Science Foundation to study how to influence people that disagree on the issue of climate change, with a study that was done for $400,000, well, the study on pluralistic ignorance gaps in climate change, and to be able to determine how to speak to people, as the study says, who are ignorant on climate change, and to be able to re-educate them on that. So if you disagree on this issue, we're also studying how to be able to re-educate you on this issue. Last year, we also spent $991 million on soft-sided facilities, those are called tents, along our border in Mexico. Now, best estimates on this, there's about 2 million people illegally crossed the border last year. So if you run the numbers on it, we spent somewhere around $500 a person on the tent facility they were processed through just to travel across the border. Listen, we've got differences of opinion on lots of issues. I'm respectful of that. I understand that people of Oklahoma don't think like people in other areas of the country. I also understand not everybody in Oklahoma thinks the same way, and I'm respectful of that. But I've yet to find anyone that wants their tax dollars wasted. People literally work overtime to be able to feed their families. They're working 2 and 3 jobs. And in April, when they pay their taxes, they want to know it went to roads and infrastructure and national security. And what we reveal in federal fumbles is, yeah, some of that was done, but also some of it was done because we lacked oversight.